Welcome to Crew Expendable. I am a guy who really loves the movie Alien, Hallstrom.
And I am another guy who also really loves the movie Alien, Rohrbacher.
And we're just a couple of Xenodorks who really love the movie Alien, working our way through the Alien franchise. Usually these are tailor-made to whatever we're reading or watching or playing, but we haven't read, watched, or played what we're going to talk about today.
Which, by the way, what is that, Neal?
I believe it's a new. Have you heard of these things called comic books?
The term has come across my desk once or twice. Yes.
Did you know that there are comic books about xenomorphs?
I mean, shit, I do now.
And did you know that there's a brand new one out today, of all days?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
It's called it's called Alien #1 from Marvel and 20th Century Studios, but this is what, the third Alien, the third Alien #1?
Yes, that is correct. It is the third Alien #1 in like 2.5 years, something like that.
So as we did with the last Alien #1, we're going to refer to this comic book as Alien Thaw, Part 1 of 5.
That's right.
1 of 5. That's interesting.
I saw one place listed as having 5 issues and another place listed as having 6. So I'm not entirely sure how many there is, but I've seen 5 more often than I've seen 6.
Yes, I do think it's just it threw me immediately because I believe our sort of consensus on Icarus was it sort of ended too fast and maybe could have stood to have one more issue.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in, they're like, let's cut an issue. Maybe this is just, this is a different writer, a whole different creative team. Maybe Alien Thaw is just a 5-part story that was just aimed to be a 5-part story. I guess one final additional detail that our listeners may need to know who might be new to the show. We are broadcasting from space. We are on board the USCSS podcast, formerly the USS Sulaco, but we sort of found it adrift and took it over. We've had a pit stop back on Earth where we left the ship behind, but then, boy, did the Earth get overrun by xenomorphs, and
it sure did.
We hightailed it back here to the USS Sulaco, which was just kind of floating adrift near Mars. Is that about right?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, and we discovered a new occupant of the USCSS podcast, formerly the Sulaco, a little robot water cooler named Coolerbot, who has joined our crew. You doing okay there, Coolerbot?
Hydration is a necessity.
Okay. Say hello to Coolerbot, everybody. Currently, we are stuck on our navigation is locked, and we are stuck on a journey to some place called Fiorina 161 that neither of us have ever been to.
Yeah, wherever the hell that is.
Never heard of it in universe lore. We've never heard of it. But we do this podcast, and basically what we do is we broadcast live from the ship, and we open all the windows on the ship and turn the speakers out of the windows so that people passing by can hear.
That's right.
Yeah, and occasionally we play Dave Matthews songs. That last part's not true.
That is correct.
Yes.
It's not.
Yeah, I think that's all the background info people need to know about this podcast, and several of them have probably turned it off at this point. But for those of you who are still sticking around, as a reminder, we are going to talk about the brand new Alien comic book from Marvel, and we will be spoiling the crap out of it. This is your official spoiler warning. How do we handle the new comics, Kenny, on this show? What is the thing we started doing with Alien Icarus?
The hook is that we decided we're basically going to read it not live, but we're going to read it for the first time during the episode, so
That's
that we
correct.
get like all of our, reactions live to tape, I guess you could call it.
Yes.
And we find out as it's going on what's happening, what might happen, and then, sometimes we might like posit theories about what we think is going to happen next or where the story is going to go.
Yeah. Imagine it kind of like a read-along commentary, except, again, you probably want to read this thing ahead of time. We are going to spoil the shit out of it.
Correct.
So, yeah, that's your bag. Strap in, and we're going to dive into Alien Issue 1.
There is one thing, though, I'd like to say real quick. I'm sure some of our listeners are wondering why the heck we're dropping an episode on a Wednesday of all days rather than just doing it as part of our normal release schedule.
Right.
And, well, here's the thing. I just want to, I want to clarify for everyone. I want to mention the big, elephant in the room. All right.
What's that?
Today is not just any regular old Wednesday. Today is actually, I guess you could call it a pretty special day.
Sure. It is. It is April 26th, right?
That's correct. 4/26. It's, you could call it kind of a significant day in our circle, sort of. It kind of has like a lot of meaning here to
Does
us
it?
on the show.
I wasn't aware of this.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because, here's the thing. It's kind of like a unofficial day of celebration, sort of.
Okay.
And, since when we launched the show last year, we launched it after April 26th.
Right.
So we weren't able to talk about it then. So now is, the first chance we have.
Okay. So this is an ongoing thing. This isn't a special day because Evil Dead the Game of the Year edition is out, right?
Correct. It's specifically April 26th is kind of a big deal.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to take a moment to clarify for everyone to just say, as everyone knows, today, April 26th, 4/26, is the 21st anniversary of the release of the film Jason X.
Oh, that's right. It is the 20th.
It is.
It is the anniversary of the film
so
of Jason.
I just like to say happy 21st anniversary to Jason X.
Happy Jason X Day and nothing else to everybody out there.
What was the tagline? I believe it was Evil gets an upgrade, if I recall.
Evil does, in fact, get an upgrade. Yes, Evil gets an upgrade.
And so 21 years ago today, Evil got an upgrade. I just want to give a hearty shout out to Jason X, an extremely bad movie that we will probably find an excuse to talk about on this show someday or another.
Grab your Jason X DVDs, your VHS copies, whatever. Take them out to the bar because they can drink legally today.
They sure can, baby.
Let's get that movie fucking drunk.
But no, seriously though, as everyone is probably aware by now, today is Alien Day.
Today is Alien Day.
And they released a whole shitload of Alien stuff today.
Yeah.
I believe today was the release of the Switch version of Fireteam Elite.
Yes, the Switch version of Fireteam Elite and a content update for all versions of Fireteam.
Yeah, there was also a big update.
Yeah, new cosmetics and a new Horde Mode map, which I'm super excited to dive into.
Alien Thaw #1 came out today, which is why we're doing this.
Sure.
And Free League Publishing also announced the imminent release of the new expansion book for the official Alien RPG. The book itself will be coming out in October, but they announced it today.
Gotcha.
And baby, you better believe I already pre-ordered that shit.
Yeah, you did. There is also I will just touch on this. The Steam is having a sale on certain Alien games, marking them way the fuck down. I want to say Colonial Marines is like $6 plus or minus.
Hey, nice. Hell yeah.
Isolation is like $8. Alien versus Predator 2010, I think, is $3.
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And Fireteam Elite is, I think, $12 right now on Steam. And I don't know, that sale started a couple days before Alien Day, before today. I think it's going to go on for a bit longer. Of course, if you're listening to this in the far future, maybe there's other sales, but it won't be this one.
And actually, looking at it now, there's actually another Alien announcement just happened. Limited Run Games just announced they're doing a physical version of the Switch version of Alien Isolation.
Oh, that's rad. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, they're doing a physical Switch edition. You can pre-order it starting next month. And they have something called the VHS Classic Edition, which includes a box that looks like an old like tape box and a slip cover that's like a steel book. And then you can also get like the collector's edition, which has that, a poster, a soundtrack, and a model of Sevastopol with it.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
That apparently was also announced today. That literally, I just saw that for the first time, like while we were talking about it. So
nice. Also, maybe the most exciting thing, I don't know if it's the most exciting thing, is Fede Alvarez shared I believe a photo of a face hugger holding like a clapboard that says Happy Alien Day.
He sure did.
Yeah, it said inside, some type of like alien movie style installation. Yeah. So that's exciting. I'm pretty psyched for what is the working title of this, Alien Romulus?
I believe it's Romulus, yeah.
We haven't spoken much about it, except that we're excited that Fede Alvarez is doing an alien movie. We're not like the Alien News podcast, right?
We sure aren't. That's correct.
There are other places. I recommend you go to AVP Galaxy for all of your alien news. That is our new favorite website for alien content.
Yeah, that is, I believe they are the one that retweeted the Limited Run Games tweet that informed me that they were even doing a physical copy of Isolation for the Switch. So,
yeah, huge day for Alien fans. I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff going on that we've missed. A lot of
for sure,
artists chiming in. It's on Twitter, and we're trying to get this episode out at the tail end of Alien Day. We both work jobs, so it's tough. So
unfortunately, we do. Yeah,
the goal is to get this thing out before the clock strikes midnight. PST, I'm gonna say. It gives me a few extra hours over here on East Coast. So as long as I get it in some time zone, I think it counts as an Alien Day release. So let's dive into this brand spanking new comic book from Marvel and 20th Century Studios. Alien Thaw, Part 1 of 5, written by Declan Shalvey, art by Andrea Broccardo, colors by Triona Farrell, Clayton Cowles as letterer, with a main cover by Dyke Ruan and Matthew Wilson, and some variant covers by Alex Maleev, Declan Shalvey, and Gabrielle Delotto.
Yeah.
That's the new creative team. Declan Shalvey, Andrea Broccardo, and Triona Farrell.
Yep. No holdovers from the previous run. Entirely new team. With
the exception of the Aliens Aftermath, this is the first Marvel arc to not be a Philip Kennedy Johnson saga.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Last chance. Spoilers from here on out, everybody. Okay? Spoilers. You've been warned. All right. Now we're free and clear to spoil this comic book rotten. Let's talk about this cover.
All right. Well, it's like icy scene with some mountains or glaciers or something like that in the background.
Yeah.
There's obviously snow falling, and there's like a big sheet of clear ice stretching out as far as you can see in front of you. And there is what initially looks to be a reflection, but is instead actually seeing from underneath a xenomorph clinging on the underside of the sheet of the ice.
Yes.
And the spike tip of their tail is breaking a hole through the ice, and it's starting to crack everywhere.
Is a badass cover, a badass setup already for a book. Remember how taken we were with Icarus being a heist story?
Yeah.
Based on this cover alone, I'm already hyped for this because we're getting aliens on a frozen planet, presumably.
We're getting Alien the Thing, hopefully.
Sure. And everyone out there has seen Alien versus Predator, right? Another movie that has a movie that has aliens in the snow. But not enough of them in the snow. It was mostly them in like a Tomb Raider level.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm excited for this. I'm hoping. Oh, I guess. Oh, also Aftermath. Aftermath had that nuclear winter on LV-426.
Oh yeah, the glowy guy.
But that alien was glow in the dark.
It sure was.
Which was a choice.
The guy ruled.
Yeah.
The guy ruled.
He did rule, but boy, what a choice.
I don't remember on that episode if I liked him then, but if I didn't then, I'm changing my mind because now I think he's rad as hell.
Opinions can change.
That is correct.
Sure. So right away, we're getting just sort of like a multi-panel zoom out from like the side of an alien's head, like out to like it's down to its shoulders, and then a head-on shot of its face. We've got this description of how cold space is, and how we, presumably humans, brave the bitter freeze to find new lands. This is a nice, comparing just the coldness of the vacuum of space to like the actual environment of whatever planet the story is going to take place on. Yeah, interesting allusions there. And then, talking about how we're pioneers. We cut through the treacherous territory to build new homes, etc.
Yeah, how we're so good at adapting, which, wonder how that's going to play in, wink, wink.
Sure. Because we're not the only ones, are we?
We sure aren't, baby.
The difference with us, though, is when we enter an environment, everything changes. The temperature rises.
And there's a very cool shot of a whole bunch of xenomorphs just kind of hanging out, but like literally, because it looks like they're frozen in ice. So they're just kind of like in stasis in various poses and such.
Already on board with the way the xenomorphs are drawn in this.
Yeah, same.
And Kenny, we said we were going to count fingers. I'm counting 6 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's like thumb and pinky, and then like 2 and 2 in the middle.
Yep.
That feels accurate, right? That feels accurate to the big chap.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it looked like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he looked like.
I dig it. We Kenny and I did notice in one of the Dark Horse, one of the Verheiden series, that the aliens were drawn with 5 fingers.
Yeah, they just had normal human hands, 5 fingers and such.
Super hoping that there's a in-canon explanation for that. So the year of this story is 2195. That is 7 years before Fireteam Elite takes place, I believe.
It's also like almost, it's like 16, I think, years after the event of Aliens takes place.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the bigger cultural touchstone? Aliens the movie or Aliens Fireteam Elite the video game?
You've got me there. I regret saying anything.
I rest my case. So we are on the Ice Moon LV-695. Treacherous place, and there is a hell of a lot of equipment.
Yeah, they look to be, digging something out from under the ice.
They've got like a tunnel, I think.
Yeah, they've like bored a big hole and they're dragging something out of it, it looks like.
And one of those tripod like wenches, like I think we saw in I guess in Alien we saw it, but also in Alien, the original screenplay comic, to lower themselves down in.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've got 2 people here who I'm going to presume are going to be largely our main characters.
Yeah, we got one guy who kind of has like a mountain man or like a John Wick kind of look going.
Sure.
He's got like the long black hair and like a close cropped beard and mustache.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to a gal who has like saucy pink hair and like, shaved on one side, long and combed over on the other.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a name for that, but I don't know what it is.
Sure. We're not. Yeah. They'll hopefully name the characters. Doubtful that they'll name the hairstyles.
Yeah, true. But the 2 of them are talking, and as of right now, it seems like it's just the 2 of them. Yeah. Like there aren't any other people standing around. But
right. So he's asking her if she can fit through this hole, and she's like, "Yeah, I can do that." His name is Dayton. Okay.
Dayton. All right.
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay." He says, "Careful down there. Something happens to you, your mom will throw me down there after you." She says, "Yeah, I know, Dayton." I'm betting there's a familial relationship here. Maybe this is like stepfather or something, right?
Yeah.
But he's in some sort of like place of authority in any case.
Yeah, he knows her mom somehow. We haven't figured out yet. And her name is Zasha.
Zasha, that's right. Zasha's heading down the hole. I just want to stop and say, so far, I am digging the art style of this comic book overall. We commented on the Xenos. This has a nice, I'm going to call it like an animated quality.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't look, it's not like super hyper realistic or anything, but yeah, it looks cool. I am liking it so far.
Yes, very different than the art styles we've seen in the other Marvel books so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I do think, particularly Icarus, was really striving for some realism in the character designs. This is definitely, I think it'd be fair to say this might have a little bit of an anime influence in the art style.
A little bit, yeah.
Maybe I'm just, because in this image where she's lowering down the hole, all I can think is like she looks like she's a character out of Naruto, which is something I haven't even watched, right?
Yeah, because she has like her goggles like perched up on her head, and it kind of looks like the ninjutsu symbol they wear as a headband and all that. And yeah, I can kind of see it. Yeah,
might just be the color of the clothing.
But yeah, she lowers herself down and talks about readings from last week's deposits. So this is clearly not the first time they've done this. Yes. And then there's a little bit of foreshadowing insert where she talks about how she's more scared of her mom than she is of anything down here.
Yeah, we'll see. She must not know she's in an Alien comic. All right. I thought the whole mission was to find concentrated water pockets. Oh, that's interesting. But Bhatia seems interested in anything but. I don't know what Bhatia is, but
I'm guessing that's her mom's name. That's my guess.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yes, yeah, because the conversation continues in the next panel. But I like this idea. I tried to avoid spoilers for this, but I do think I came across the idea that the goal of this team is basically finding water that they can then ship to other colonies, because we just, as mankind has spread amongst the universe, people need water.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very cool, clever thing, and something believable, I think, about the future is like, I feel like we've already heard it theorized probably in other things, maybe in like something like Cat's Cradle even, or Sirens of Titan, like some old Vonnegut novel that like we're trying to get ice off of like the moon or some shit, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. So she's down. She's down in this hole.
She's down in this hole. She's digging out something out of the ice with her, like, climbing axe.
Yeah, her Tomb Raider axe.
And she gets confused. Correct, yes. And she gets confused when she pulls it away, and it is melting via acid, which is never a good sign. And
she's gonna have to craft a new one. All right.
She suddenly gets awestruck when she finds out that the thing she's been hacking into is something that she's never seen before, but we know as a face hugger.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8, and she's nicked one of its fingers.
Yeah. Yep.
And then bam, we get the splash page with the credits, which I had to move forward to. So this is okay. Again, the little text blurb here. They're acknowledging 2122, right? The Journey of the Nostromo. They're acknowledging 2179, Hadley's Hope. Now we're in the year 2195. Weyland-Yutani has covered most of its deadly tracks, but it's only a matter of time before Xenomorphs surface again. Again, not referencing the events of Alien 3.
Well, it also didn't reference any of the other runs of the Marvel Alien comic either.
It's very true. I'm going to hop out real quick. We are reading these digitally. I'm just going to check one of these Alien Icarus books, because I forget what year that took place. I probably could have just asked you.
Oh, it also officially says here during this two-part splash page, it literally says Alien Thaw, part 1 of 5.
That's correct.
So there's our official answer.
So the previous arcs, of the Marvel series, right? The first one, Bloodlines, takes place in 2200.
Mm-hmm.
And the follow-up one about the spinner colony, I forget the arc name, is 2202, and
I believe that's Revival. I think it's called.
Yes, and then Icarus is 2217. So this predates those.
Yeah, this predates all 3 of them so far. Yes.
Right. So that's fun, I guess.
Sure.
Doesn't erase them, but it certainly doesn't have to
It does
acknowledge
explain.
them.
It does explain why it doesn't get mentioned in the opening blurb, at least.
But it is weird to me that they're still ignoring Alien 3, and I do sort of wonder like what they're considering canon at this point, right?
I mean, it's one of those things where we could like theorize about it, but they haven't mentioned the events of Alien 3 either way, as in like they haven't said that it is canon, but they also haven't given us any reason to believe that it's not. It hasn't come up regardless. My point is they haven't given us any proof for us to really say maybe it is here or maybe it isn't. Who fucking knows, you know?
I like this by comparison. I like this white background with the black text. It's sort of an inverse of the other Marvel series. The other Marvel
and
Alien series.
it has like all the patterning in the white to make it clear that what we're looking at is like frozen ice, you know?
It's pretty sick. And then up here in the top right, we've got water, a new economical frontier, Talbot Engineering. So there's companies have jumped on this vacuum of need of water, I assume. Right. Yeah. This is some Nestle shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So presumably this is Talbot Engineering.
Yeah, and it says here they've secured the exclusive water rights to LV-695. Presumably that's why they're here. So
right. It's Talbot Engineering ran by the bad guy from Quantum of Solace.
Correct. That is extremely correct.
Yeah.
Something Green. I don't remember what his first name is.
Evil Guy Green.
Evil Guy Green. Perfect.
Yeah. Little Weasel Man Green.
That's right.
All right. So story continues on. We see the Talbot Engineering logo on this structure.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a name that I'm familiar with from Alien stuff. I do wonder if Talbot Engineering has popped up in anything else.
I mean, I'm assuming it's new to this comic because, like you, I've never heard of it before either.
Xenopedia.
But yeah, we cut to this big, it almost kind of looks like an oil rig, but it's like set up on the surface of the planet. And it is Batya Zahn, describes herself as a chief scientist on assignment, Glacier Base VI, i.e. the keg, on LV-695. And she's recording some kind of message to head office.
Glacier Base, should say Glacier Base 6.
Yeah, you're right. It does. The panel that I'm looking at has a little bit of pixelation to it.
Right.
So.
Yes, that is that is on me. I am kind of screen sharing these with you. It is Glacier Base 6. I got to say, whoever's running shit over there at avp.fandom.com is on their shit because there's already a Talbot Engineering Glacier Base 6 nicknamed The Keg. Article it's the blurb is exactly this panel, right? But they've already got it up there, man.
Cool.
Hell yeah, Xenopedia. So Batya Zahn, presumably Zasha's mother, right?
Yeah, she sure is. Looks like.
And she's
let's see.
She eating a protein bar. Looks like.
Yeah, she's just talking about. Like I said, she's recording a message for head office that she's not even sure is going to get to them. She's outlining their plans a little bit about how they need water to send to like terraformers and stuff.
Right.
And they were apparently supposed to have been relieved months ago, which is a big deal for her because turns out she's pregnant.
She is pregnant. Okay, first background catch here. We've got one of those water drinking birds that were all over the ship in isolation, right? We also got a Chinese food container. How are they getting delivery out here?
Good question. And
there's a little post-it note taped to the side of her console. It's cut off, but you can tell it says call Siegson, and it's got a phone number on it.
All right. So they're already going heavy with the Easter eggs. All right.
Sure. And Batya here is preggers, as the kids say.
And yeah, she says the launch pad's frozen over, so they couldn't leave whether they wanted to or not. And she
Yes.
starts complaining about how Talbot is never going to come and whisk us away from this hellhole.
Yeah. Meanwhile, guy whose name I already forgot,
Dayton
is yelling for Zasha to get out of the hole. Right.
Yep. And we cut down to the hole, and she the thinged out that face hugger, i.e. Cut out a perfect square ice formation around it and then just slid it out.
Yeah, man.
Describing it as a sample, which I suppose you could call it that if you wanted to, yeah.
I'm going to need you to keep track, because you know the movie way better than I do. Keep track of thing references. Because I'm sure there's going to be thing references that I miss.
I'm sure there's going to be some I miss too.
And
let's see.
Dayton can't help but comment on her weight as he pulls her out of the hole. I get the sense that she must be a teenager, right?
I mean, she's probably early 20s at the absolute latest.
Right. They're heading back to Crawler now with the sample.
Right? Yep, they sure are.
He's checking it out. He says, "Let's get a closer look at what you found." And he just says, "Oh." Meanwhile, Zasha's calling headquarters, calling her mother, Batia. Yeah.
Calling her to let her know about the sample they found, while Dayton's like, no, don't call her. Don't call her. While she's like in the middle of calling her mom.
She's a teenager. I think she's gonna. Yeah.
I mean, that first panel on this page, she definitely is drawn to look like a teenager. So,
but even just this, Mom, I found something in the ice, like she's blowing off Dayton here.
Yeah.
And she sends a scan.
Yeah.
And then Batia's having like a weird reaction. She has a little pause and she says, "I'd like you to bring it back to base, please." Dayton's not so sure about bringing this thing back.
I'm getting the vibe that there's some kind of static between Dayton and the mom. That's what I'm kind of starting to pick up.
I think so.
So I'm operating under the assumption as of right now that that's his kid.
Yeah, and he is saying, "I don't like the look of the sample. I think we should just incinerate it." He's a little sus. I'm theorizing now that Dayton already knows what this thing is.
All right.
Because he knows right away we should incinerate it, and now he's like, "Well, let me contain it at least."
Yeah. On the other hand, he immediately gets convinced to keep it.
Well, his baby mama is like, "Come on, man," and like clearly, like he's on the outs with her, right? So, all right.
Let's see. The mom, what was her name? Batia, I think it was.
Batia, yes.
Yeah. Orders him to come back, and then we see somebody somewhere else receiving a garbled version of the message that Batia recorded earlier.
Yeah. Get out.
We don't see specifically who. It's just lights on in a control room and like the satellite dish is moving around.
Yeah, I think this is a new message because part of it is we found something, right?
Oh, you're right. It is. I didn't even notice that panel. You're correct.
Flagged bio signs. So, of course, somebody's coming now. The crawler's heading back to HQ. I got to say, this panel here, this crawler heading back. I'm going to set this as my wallpaper on my computer. Something incredibly cozy about this. I have no idea what that's about. But man, this setting of this story is already winning me over, and the design of this tech in this is just really working for me. I love the way the sky is done. It's black. Like I just love the contrast between like the snowy like rocks and the mountains and everything and the black here. It's really nice looking. But everyone's back in the docking bay. I don't know if buildings have those.
Yeah, they're back in there, and Batia welcomes them back in. Dayton complains about her doing stuff.
Yeah, Batia's. I like this. Let's get a better look at Zasha's buried treasure. That's a fun way to refer to a face hugger.
She confirms.
We learn that Batia's the doctor.
Yeah, she confirms that everything is fine. The baby is fully healthy.
Right.
And Dayton complains about how the two of them apparently have like a good relationship, I guess.
Yeah, I'm getting like, if not stepfather vibes, I'm getting mom's new boyfriend vibes for sure.
Yeah,
You know?
something like that. Or like I'm guessing maybe they did date, he got her pregnant, and then they broke up like while they were here or something like that.
But they're
something like that.
But they're clearly the only three stuck here because they missed their ship off or they decided not to go, and now they can't. Right. So the facehugger's in a portal cube.
Yeah, and it's still frozen in ice inside the cube, and they just put this motherfucker on the shelf.
Yeah,
like it's a can of beans or something.
Or the Ark of the Covenant, maybe.
Yeah.
They do lock up though, right?
They do, yes. And then it cuts to 2 weeks later, and the three of them are eating dinner around the table. And there's a little bit of lighthearted bickering going on.
Question. I'm scrolling back here. We might have missed something about Dayton. We did miss something about Dayton.
Did we?
Yes. Dayton only has one full arm.
Oh, he sure does. We absolutely did miss that. Yes.
I thought I saw it. I thought maybe it was weird art choice. It is very, very obvious in this panel.
Yeah, I didn't mention it either because I thought it was just because because the little bit of pixelation on the screen or something, I thought I was just like missing a line here that would indicate where his arm was. But no, you're right. He absolutely is missing his left arm from just above the elbow down.
So I'm thinking he, some kind of accident happened on the planet. And that's why he has Zasha like doing more of the exploratory stuff. Maybe he used to have a more active role, or maybe he's got some history with the Xenos.
Could be.
Lost his arm in that. Who knows? I feel like he wouldn't be. I feel like 2 weeks later he wouldn't be like chilling about the facehugger being there if he knew about the Xenos. So maybe I'm wrong.
But I mean, it seemed like he didn't know. Well, I shouldn't say it seems like he didn't know what the facehugger was. If he did know what it was, he didn't give any kind of visible reaction to it.
Right.
But
this exchange is fucked because
it sure is. Batya tells them that Talbot is in fact sending a crew.
Sorry, the situation before that is what I was referring to as fucked, where Zasha says the food looks gross and he says, "You try cooking with one hand," and she says, "I bet I could tie one hand behind my back." Like, damn, she's a little ableist, isn't she?
Well, they clearly know each other and are familiar enough with each other to pull that kind of shit off. So,
but he doesn't look happy about any of this. Maybe that's just him, right?
Yeah, I mean, he just seems to not be a super pleasant guy, because she says that she called it in and like Talbot actually is sending a crew, and then he immediately flips the fuck out and like goes insane guy mode and like throws his plate of food against the wall and starts like screaming and hitting things, which is a great look.
That food looks delicious too. That's like a bowl of,
it really does.
It's like a bowl of ramen with like 2 eggs in it and meatballs. Holy shit.
I also thought it was a ramen. Yeah.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, same. And Batya's response is, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't want that thing in the base in the first place, and now you're running it up the chain without telling me, right? And she's like, "Hey, this is my mission."
Yeah, and she's like, "I don't need to run shit by you. I'm effectively commanding officer here. It's not your job or your responsibility."
Yeah, but here he is saying, "This is maybe are they wildcatters?"
Maybe it could be,
because he's like, "We're not just your employees. We're a family, or at least we're supposed to be. And you're playing with fire. Is this brother? We've got an F-bomb. I'm sure we've had others in the Marvel series, but this one's standing out. I do not trust the fuckers that have left us stranded here for months." That's a good line.
And she explains it as the fact that she doesn't trust them is why she called them, because this is their way to be able to finally leave the planet. Like, that's what it took. Like, that's what they had to do to finally convince Talbot to come and get them.
But now he's doing that fragile thing where she's like, "I don't want to have this baby on here." And he's like, "This baby, not our baby." Like, you know what she meant, dude. Like, settle down. But confirmation that it is his baby in there. All right. She points out that her work here is classified.
Yeah.
She just can't tell him everything that's going on, and she's sorry.
And this is over a series of panels where we see a big ship that sort of looks like a Sulaco-style military ship flying through space on its way to an ice planet?
Similar to the USCSS podcast, if you will.
And there's a little bit more voiceover where she talks some more about the baby and how they need to leave over a series of panels zooming into that expedition hole that Zasha went down earlier. Yeah. And when we get to the bottom, we see a whole bunch of xenomorphs just kind of hanging around.
This is a really nice... I really like the pacing of this book so far. I like these environmental panels with this voiceover. Yeah, I'm into this. I'm pretty into this book currently. Oh, I'm gonna admit I'm gonna be a little bummed if we do get a platoon of Marines showing up, because I really like the idea of this family stranded with a xenomorph outbreak. Right.
It seems like we did, or it seems like we will, because we just saw a military ship fly by, and then immediately a ship starts docking nearby, and they're like, well, it can't be Talbot because there aren't any ships anywhere near this sector, and so it's still too soon for Talbot to have gotten here then.
Yeah, and so he's like, shit, Zasha, activate lockdown procedures. It should buy us a little time. This is the last thing we need. And we do, in fact, see a Weyland-Yutani ship, the USCSS Boreas.
There it is.
But that's USCSS. So that's, what is it? United Systems Commercial Starship is the designation. I don't think this is a Marine platoon.
Yeah.
Right? This is what we had to rebrand our ship to.
Correct.
Because we are not in the military.
And then, let's see, the landing gear comes down. A whole bunch of MFs kind of looking like snow troopers come out.
Hell, I'm psyched about this. They're wearing the ape suits. This is cool. I love the ape suits.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at it now, I believe these are the dudes from the end of Alien 3.
Yeah, and you also shoot them up a lot in Alien Trilogy, and you can wear the ape suit in Fireteam Elite. I do love the ape suit, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a squad of what looks like 5 dudes with another guy in between them that looks like he's wearing a big loud scarf.
Yeah, he is.
They make their way in, make their way up through the facility, clearing rooms as they go.
We get a couple names. There's a Kelly and there's a Cleary amongst these troops. Yeah, they're clearing the lab, generator room.
And then finally they get up to where the 3 of them are, and let's see. The guy introduces himself as he talks to Dr. Zahn and introduces himself as Wendell Theen. That's Theen, by the way.
Fuck this guy. He's got the evil mustache, thin mustache with goatee. I guess it's a full beard, but you know what I mean. He's got the Xanatos from Gargoyles. That's a reference we've used before.
It sure is, yes.
And he's apologies for this intrusion. The dinner table is a sacred thing for a family. One of the purest rituals humans have kept for millennia. Nevertheless, here we are. This guy's a douche.
Batya's real fucking pissed that he just landed the ship in their investigation area. And she's even, as you say, our family is having dinner, and we would like you to leave.
Yeah, get fucked, wiener. Right.
Let's see. The good people at Talbot Engineering very recently decided to accept our very generous bid for their holdings. They are now a subsidiary of the parent Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Fucking of course they are.
This is exactly what happened with Comixology and Amazon.
And let's see.
Just reach out to your superiors. They'll confirm it. This base, your contracts.
Of course they'll fucking confirm
all of your research is now the intellectual property of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Fuck.
Let's see. It says it's been in the works since approximately 4 days ago. And so the reason the Boreas was sent here was because it was the closest company ship.
So it became our honor to welcome you. Yeah. Zasha's not. Zasha's side-eyeing a little bit here.
And then after they get real pissed off about it, Dayton screams "no fucking way," but they censored it in this speech bubble, even though they didn't last time he said fuck.
Well, maybe it's just this one is just literally a bigger fuck. Like maybe there's like
it sure is.
If you go above this font size, you got to bleep it out. I don't know. So Batia's last name is Zahn.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean Sasha's name is Zasha Zahn?
I'm assuming yes.
Oh boy.
And I'm also operating under the assumption that Dayton is his last name, so I don't know what his other name is.
Frank Dayton. Well, here he says Mr. Jean. So do you think maybe Zasha's last name isn't Jean? Maybe that's from a previous marriage. Because Wiener here is addressing Dayton as Mr. Jean. So I think it's Dayton Jean. Well, we'll find out in the next page that I'm wrong.
Yeah, let's see.
So he was injured a couple of years ago.
Yeah. He has a insurance claim that's still unresolved. And then he gets real pissed off, fucking chokeholds the guy, and then slams him onto the table, which is fun.
Do you see why he's like, I noticed the Wiener dude here, I'm never going to remember his name, Wendell
Fiend.
Fuck this guy. He says, I noticed your incident claim to Talbot is currently unresolved. Unfortunately, due to takeover negotiations, Weyland-Yutani is not actually liable. So he's not getting a settlement for his work-related injury now. And that's why he's slamming the dude's head on the fucking table.
And meanwhile, the ape guys are threatening him with a gun. And Wendell's like, everyone just fucking relax.
Yeah. Let's all relax. He's got blood on the table. No need for this to escalate.
And then one of the ape guys attacks Dayton anyway.
Because fucking Wendell says, everyone relax. The man is quite literally unarmed.
Yeah, I was just not going to mention that. I was just going to gloss over that line.
They're just really showing how fucking evil this Wendell guy is. This is like the most cartoonishly villainous.
Well, the thing of it is he says that and Dayton doesn't do anything because after Wendell says that, Dayton gets attacked by one of the ape guys, which is why I wasn't going to mention that because it doesn't have anything to do with what happens next. I was going to try to avoid the ableism if I could.
No avoiding it here. They're really painting this guy as a villain.
Yeah, they fucking knock him out, lock him in the brig.
But during all of this, during this kerfuffle, Zasha has pulled a newt.
Yeah, she fucking disappears into an air vent.
Yeah, man. Now we get more rad exterior shots that I'm loving.
Let's see. One of the ape guys calls her a little twerp.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So they're all over this place. We got a guy named Higgins.
Yeah, she's just listened to them chat as she crawls around and then drops herself off in some lab room or another, grabs her bag that we saw her wearing earlier.
We got another drinking bird here. We've got a folder on the table with a post-it note on it that says Xeno ? That's interesting. I do wonder if that's an Easter egg or if that is maybe the file on the specimen, because Xenomorph is just kind of a catch-all, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a term that exists that we apply to these creatures, but
it's just like, an unknown alien life form. The term xenomorph doesn't necessarily only strictly refer to xenomorphs,
Right. More specifically, the Xenomorph XX121, which is the alien.
That is correct, yes. And then you see her about to head out the airlock, and before she does, she pulls the portal cube with the face hugger in it.
You know how we were saying no references to the other Marvel books?
Mm-hmm.
As she picks her bag up, there's a folder here, a Weyland-Yutani Corporation folder with, in quotes, Alpha on it. R5823-26A Alpha. I'm wondering if we are getting a story of Alpha, right? That's going to tie in the bloodlines.
That font is too small for me to be able to see in this image, so I'll take your word for it.
You're good. That's why I'm here for you.
But yeah, as she's heading out the airlock, she pulls the facehugger frozen in the portal cube out and just leaves it on the ground. And you can see it like slowly start to melt inside the airlock as she disappears.
Yeah, that's weird. No, she didn't pull the. I'm sorry. She's just exiting. That thing is just sitting there, like melting.
Well, I had thought she put it up on the shelf earlier, and now it's just sitting on the floor, which led me to believe she moved it.
I guess we'll find out if she moved it.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right. It's another cool out exterior shot. That's going to be a phone wallpaper for me. That's not even a joke.
Let's see.
Wendell is questioning her.
Yeah, Wendell says that they're specifically here because of, quote, information regarding a recent find.
Yeah. He says he intercepted a communication.
And he even says that's the reason why they decided to buy this company.
We have all the information, Doctor, so please let's spare ourselves any unnecessary bother. So Weyland-Yutani is just buying up companies that have information about xenomorphs. That's how insane they are about getting a hold of these things. I think they should probably remember what happened during Aliens Outbreak and rethink that.
Let's see. He very vaguely threatens them to just tell him all they know.
Yeah, we see that Dayton, her husband, is being marched out into the snow with two of the guards. I guess they're going to lock him up on their ship, presumably. Right?
Yeah, that's the guess. And then she mentions something about Alpha. Yeah, so I guess that's what they're calling it.
Yeah. So she's saying that she's heard of Project Alpha, which is the thing happening in Bloodlines, or the thing that goes badly in Bloodlines.
Correct, yeah.
And she says, I believe we have something similar. If I'm right about Alpha, what we have is very valuable. So she's like bargaining now. She's like, yeah, I've got one of those things. So she's like, oh, is this even a separate specimen now that we're seeing of this xenomorph trapped in ice? Is she saying something that can help? Okay, I'm a little confused here because I know.
Well, she's while she's saying that, the block of ice with a facehugger in it is thawing out, and the facehugger is coming out and starting to move.
Right.
And then it cuts to a page with a whole bunch of panels of a xenomorph under ice, and the ice is starting to crack. And then after it cracks the final time, the xenomorph opens its mouth. And while that is happening, she's talking about how, if what you have at Alpha is anything to go by, we have something similar.
Right.
And it's important enough that we can use that to get off this fucking place.
So why don't we just crack it open?
Yeah, why don't we just fucking break it open and see what happens?
So she is talking about the facehugger. She's not talking about this xenomorph that we see cracking its way out of the ice. I just thought maybe had they found another specimen, had they found like a fully grown xenomorph specimen as well? But no,
I had assumed not, just because we probably would have heard or seen about it at some point in the comic before now.
But except she had that line where she said, some things I do are classified. And she had that, and she had that pause when she saw the scan of the facehugger. That was most certainly because she's familiar with Project Epsilon or Project Alpha but I wouldn't be surprised if she's got a secret xenomorph, although I don't know how she would have gotten that specimen unless it had been provided, because this is the first thing, like biological thing, that she sent a report out about, right? So
yeah, she didn't send a report about finding anything until they found the facehugger.
Okay, we've talked through it. I understand now. Okay.
Yeah.
But that is
this final page of the xenomorph breaking out, that's just some other place. We're seeing this via like third person omniscient narration,
right? And that's the end.
But anyway, that's how it ends. Yeah, that's how it ends.
Fascinating ideas in this, honestly. So glad Marines didn't show up. I don't, I'm glad it's not a military based story, at least so far.
Yeah, when I found out that somebody was going to be showing up, I was kind of like, uh-oh. But then when I saw it was the ape guys, not only was I like, oh, okay, good, but also I was like, oh, dang, they're bringing these guys back. Like, all the rest of the franchise always seems to forget these guys even exist.
I love the Weyland-Yutani ape suits. They're so cool. I'm glad it's this. Like, this is what should have been on LV-426 on Hadley's Hope in River of Pain, right? We should have had like Weyland-Yutani security with ape suits, right?
Yeah, just imagine a whole bunch of ape guys are running around instead of the Marines.
That would have fixed everything for me, especially considering like Weyland-Yutani still would have been vague about their orders because of the sensitivity of getting the specimen, etc. I'm sure these ape guys don't even know why they're here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I do love the ape suits. It's a great look. I love when the stuff looks like Alien, right? And Aliens, like of that era of the first 3 movies. I don't like when stuff's super shiny and glossy like it was in Prometheus and Covenant. Covenant less so, but Prometheus was real bad about everyone having iPads, you know. I like the sort of, I'm going to call it like the analog versus like the analog look versus the digital look of Prometheus.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this story. I think. What do you? Tell me your thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts on this story so far. What are your first impressions of this book?
My first impressions are the first thing I like now that we're done. The first thing I'm thinking of, or my brain is reminding me of, is something we talked about earlier. Namely, I do like the art a lot. You know, as we've discussed in the previous arc that we covered, specifically the way the artist renders xenomorphs is the thing that I care about.
Yeah.
And they do look very good in this comic. I like them a lot. I think the xenomorphs look great, but that extends to just everything. I think like the landscapes look good.
Yes.
I think he did a good job of like distinguishing characters to make them all look different.
Oh yeah.
You know, all the little Easter eggs and the little details here and there look really good.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
As far as the plot is concerned, it's fine. I mean, admittedly, it's kind of hard for me to judge because not a whole lot has really happened. Because, you know, as we discussed with Icarus, the first issue is pretty much all just set up.
Yes.
So not a whole lot has really happened because a lot of it's like us figuring out what the characters are like, you know, the dynamic, what's going on, you know.
Sure.
And so not a whole lot really happened, but I think the concept is intriguing for the same reason you mentioned earlier. It all takes place on a big, empty, barren ice planet, which is cool as hell.
Yeah, so based on issue 1, based on the setup that we've gotten in this, outside of our responsibility as crew expendable to read the rest of this series, would you check out issue 2 based on issue 1?
Yes.
I 100% would also. It's interesting. The thing that you look for is how the xenomorphs themselves are drawn.
Yeah.
I'm less interested in that and also less interested in how the characters are drawn, but I have realized that I get really into the settings, right? The aesthetics.
Yeah.
The general design of the books, right?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite thing about Icarus was the design, the color choices, and the dynamic sort of panel layouts, and those things. And same here, but this has a completely different vibe. Like, I am being transported to, like, I don't know how to say this. I believe that this is a real, like, I'm feeling this as a world.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Like, when I said that panel of the crawler kind of like creeping, like going back to the base, like that, I want to be there. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like, it's very, very, and the same, all of the exterior shots are great. And then the coziness of like the inside, like the dining room, even with Dad throwing a plate because he's angry, right?
Yeah.
There's a warmth, there's a real cold feeling to the exteriors and a very warm feeling to the interiors, and a believability to it all that so far I'm really, really feeling. The family dynamic seems realistic. This is a high stress environment. There's clearly been an injury, and it's only been a couple of months, so he's still dealing with it. There may be a stepfather stepdaughter relationship. We don't know for sure yet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of intriguing pieces here. The thing that's gotten me the most interested in the story, like, first of all, this dude's a piece of shit, right? The Wiener.
Wendell the Wiener.
Yeah, but it's interesting that Batia is like ready to bargain to get her family out of here and like ready to just check this thing out, which is a mistake. Like, she's not the bad guy here, but she's pregnant. She's desperate to get off this planet. It's just her and her family, like her daughter and her husband. And this is early enough in canon, right, where xenomorphs aren't known. Like, it's not widespread knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So she has this ignorance about her, and like she's not happy with having to deal with these people, but she's also like, hey, this is our shot to get off this rock, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested to see how the rest of this story goes.
One other thing that I do really like about specifically the story of this comic is that this is not yet another story about a xenomorph outbreak happening in a Weyland-Yutani laboratory facility.
Right. Well, technically, if Weyland-Yutani bought the company in this,
but like, this wasn't a place where they were experimenting on them like it is in every single other story that uses this hook.
Correct.
Like, it was completely accidental, in a similar way to like it was in Alien and Aliens. They just happen to accidentally stumble across it, and then an outbreak happens.
Yeah, this wasn't Weyland-Yutani doing experiments on xenomorphs and shit getting out of hand.
This is not an outbreak that happened because Weyland-Yutani was doing experiments. And that's one thing about this story that I really like.
There are a few, because I think that's somebody doing experiments. That's like in the Cold Forge, that's Infiltrator, that's the setup for Icarus, even though it wasn't, like, that's the result of what happened at Icarus. That's
and Bloodlines.
It's sure.
It's one they use a whole lot, and I'm glad to see that this did not do the same thing.
It's also in a way it's Outbreak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't really have the chance to start experimenting on them before they got loose, but that was their intention, right? And then Resurrection is a different organization, right? A different company doing that. So hell of a lot of this for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this does feel like a genuinely original sort of setup. I mean, I know that there's other things like this, right? But this does feel different. This has the isolation of Alien. That's the word I was looking for earlier.
Isolation.
This has that feeling of isolation, even though it's 3 people and now like 6-8 troops in a Weyland-Yutani muckety muck. But
something
still, the nature of the setting, you know, the larger the environment is, because we're talking about a whole moon here, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The more, like, you can have this many people and it's still going to feel like an isolated story, you know. I'm excited to see where this goes. This is a huge change in pace from Icarus,
which is a lot more explicitly an action style story. This seems to be more of a horror based story.
Yeah. So far, I can't wait for issue 2.
I'm definitely going to be checking this out for sure when it comes out again next month.
Yeah. Well, we have to.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right. So, Alien fans out there, check this out. If you listen to this, you've already checked it out. Let's be real.
Yeah, right? It's a pretty neat hook, and people that care about this franchise will probably think there's enough here to, like, you know, chew on and get something out of. So yeah, for sure, check it out.
But for now, Kenny, I think it's time for us to wrap things up on this Jason X's birthday.
That's right. The most important day of the year.
Where can people find you online?
most social media sites, actually pretty much all of them that I have an account on anyway. I use the handle at CYHOBBEZ.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter at Final Neal with an A, Neal, and Final Neal Retro on Instagram, again with an A. Kenny, where can people find this show on the internet?
Our Instagram handle is at Crew Expendable Pod. Our website is crewexpendable.net. Our Twitter handle is at Crew Expendapod, and you can send us an email, and that email address is mother@crewexpendable.net.
Nice. Our next episode, I believe, will finally be our Alien 3 theatrical cut episode. Of course, we disrupted the release schedule by wanting to squeeze in this episode, as we are always going to do when new comics come out, just so we can kind of stay ahead of the curve on those things, like we tried to do with Icarus, but kind of dropped the ball a little bit. That's my fault.
It's fine.
Pretty sure it was because I had COVID is when all that stuff happened. So
that it is. Yes, that is correct.
But the plan will be whatever our regularly set schedule is, things will get bumped when Alien Thaw issue 2 comes out. So until next time, Kenny, do you hear that?
What? I do. I'm pretty sure I've heard that sound before, but like I'm not entirely sure what it means.
Are we I think we're receiving an emergency broadcast from somewhere.
From somewhere, yeah. Who is it that even knows we're here to be able to send us this message?
Yeah, and presumably we must be close to whatever the location is.
Huh.
All right, we're gonna check this out.
Mayday, Mayday. Repeat, this is Lancer Class Private Beeteedubbs requesting immediate support on the Katanga. Over.
Welcome back, everybody, to Crew Expendable. I believe this is the same episode as the Alien Thaw one. We'll see how editing goes shortly for me. I am, as always, prestige rank 53 technician / recon specialist Hallstrom, and I am joined by somebody new.
This is Lancer Class Private Beeteedubbs reporting for duty.
Reporting for duty. All right. So, B, you are my primary fire team buddy.
A privilege, to be sure.
You don't need to lie to the audience, but thank you. Yeah, you and I, we a little less lately, but for a while there, we were playing a hell of a lot of fire team together. So I wanted to have you on the show because, as everybody knows, today is the 21st anniversary of the release of Jason X, and also Alien Day, I guess. And we got some new fire team stuff to talk about.
Yeah, great day indeed.
Yes.
I did not know Jason X came out.
Yeah, this is the 20. Yes, that was Kenny's bid opening up the other show, was that today's a very special day. It's the 21st anniversary of Jason X releasing, which is actually true. I don't think anyone was celebrating Alien Day back then, right? We didn't have all of these sort of internet holidays for pop culture stuff. But like, what if they had the foresight of like, we're going to release our Aliens knockoff Friday the 13th movie on Aliens Day, just to like give them a middle finger.
They were really ahead of their time on that.
Right. Maybe that's why we now celebrate Alien Day. Yeah, so Kenny and I have kind of ran through some of the stuff we got for Alien Day, but expanding on that, Aliens Fireteam Elite has now been released on the Nintendo Switch with full crossplay, which is a nice touch. And all versions of the game have received an update in the form of new cosmetics earned through a new Horde Mode map. And I just wanted to talk to you, B, about these new additions to the Fireteam lineup. I bought the Switch version. Did you buy the Switch version as well?
I did, yeah.
Even though we both own the game already.
You know, the Switch has, in my opinion, a pretty limited amount of games to begin with. I mean, the Mario line, the Nintendo, they've got some really great titles, but sure. Sometimes I just want a good first or third person shooter, and they're, you got to go to ports or
right.
carry over for that. They don't really have their own line of those type of games.
Right. This is a direct competitor now for Metroid Prime, the Metroid Prime remake or whatever, the remaster.
But it's solid. Like, this is a game that I spend a lot of time playing on PlayStation, and having it on the go for Switch. I mean, yes, it is, you need a stable internet connection wherever you go, but that's for the most part, most Switch games if you're playing it online. So
yeah, you do some traveling, right? You're back and forth between different places. I do quite a bit of traveling. I go visit Sarah pretty often, so it is going to be nice to have a portable version of Fireteam to scratch that itch while out of town. Doesn't make a lot of sense to haul your Xbox or your PlayStation around unnecessarily, and I think that's where the Switch really kind of shines. I will say, in probably the most unhinged decision of like which console to play which game on that I have ever made, my Doom Eternal playthrough right now is the Switch version.
That blows my mind.
I have it on the Xbox, like and I have a Series X, like I've got like the Xbox, you know what I mean? But I have opted to play Doom Eternal on the Switch instead, despite the fact that I also have it for the Xbox. And it's on Game Pass, so I technically didn't have to buy it at all. But I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun. And the Switch port of that game is very, very good. Looks great and plays great. I don't know that I can say the same for the Switch port of Fireteam. It does play great when the internet is working for me. I haven't spent a ton of time with it. I did play the demo that came out, the timed demo that lets you sort of play, I think, maybe 10 or 15 minutes of the game before it kicks you out and only lets you play with bots.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to test out I haven't done any of these cloud-based Switch games before, right?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with them either.
So I wanted to test it and see what it was about. And, it still plays like Fireteam, but it definitely doesn't look as good as what I'm used to.
It definitely is a graphical downgrade. I kind of expected that going over to the Switch.
Right.
I found it a little. I can't really tell because I haven't done a lot of shooters on the Switch. The controls seemed to not be as tight on the Switch. I felt like I was fighting the controller a lot more.
Right. Were you playing with Joy-Cons?
I did have Joy-Cons. I was actually like playing it handheld.
Yes.
I thought I would get like the full experience.
The Joy-Cons do the analog sticks in particular, they just don't seem to have the same like range of movement versus like a Pro controller or, other consoles analog sticks. It is definitely like a weird adjustment to try to play this thing with Joy-Cons. So here's how I did my test. When I first played the demo, I played it in handheld mode I have the Hori split pad. Have you? Do you know what that is?
No, tell me.
It's a Joy-Con replacement. It's handheld mode only. It doesn't have any rumble, but it basically looks like if you took a Pro controller and cut it in half and turned it into Joy-Cons. So it's got like a full analog stick. It's got full size buttons. It's got your triggers and stuff. It's very similar to like the Xbox controller. Much more comfortable way to play handheld mode for me because my hands cramp up like crazy also. But like,
yeah,
the biggest boon was getting the better analog sticks and like getting that full controller feel while you're playing in handheld mode. It definitely is worth it, even though you lose vibration for shooter games. So like I played the demo that way. And then today I played through the first two missions, Ingress and Rescue.
All right, so I did about the same.
Okay.
I didn't quite make it through Rescue. I got kicked off. My Switch died halfway through.
Oh yeah, that'll happen. So what I did is
part of life on the go.
Yeah. So I played Ingress in handheld mode with the Joy-Cons fully through after having played the demo with the split pad. And then between missions, I docked it and turned on my off-brand Pro controller and played Rescue that way. So I was trying to test all the controller options and setups so I could talk about it. And yeah, man, Joy-Cons in handheld mode is tricky.
I think in general with the Switch, especially with shooter games, having the split controller like you talk about sounds like the way to go.
Yes.
The larger joysticks and everything. I just don't think the Switch is that comfortable to hold
it's
long
it's
term.
not. So having just the larger grip in general is a game changer, but getting the full sticks and everything, like it even makes like playing Tony Hawk. Well, it makes it a playable game. I'll say that. I've got rough feelings about the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake. But at least with a full controller or with the split pad, it's finally playable, in my opinion. So yeah, not a great game to play on Joy-Cons. You get such a limited like range of movement. Did you find it tough to like aim?
Yeah, I had a really hard time aiming. I didn't know, the Switch Joy-Cons have had such a hard time with drift.
Right.
They, Nintendo will fix it for free if you send it to them.
Yes. Yeah, because they lost a class action lawsuit finally. Is that right?
I think so, yeah. So I don't know how much to, necessarily put on the game and how much it is the controllers just tweaking out, because I tried on two sets of Joy-Cons, one that we've sent off to have the drift fixed and one that has not.
Gotcha.
And either way, it was still pretty tough.
Right.
At the end of the day, though, what I would say about this is that there are just some games that I'll take a little bit of like the graphic downgrade and a little bit more trouble playing them, just because the game itself is fun.
Right.
I'm the type of person who bought I bought Skyrim twice on 360.
Okay.
And then again on Switch. So I was just like, man, I love this game. I was like,
only 3 times. Most people buy Skyrim like 7 or 8. From what I understand.
I'm not done yet, and they haven't given us Skyrim the next one.
Sure, yeah.
So,
okay, yeah, I'm the same way. Where if it's a game that I love, I will buy it again. I mean, we just talked about Doom Eternal, but I have a history of this, right? And the convenience factor of having it on the Switch is definitely worth it. Was definitely worth it for me to like put that pre-order money down.
Agreed. Yeah.
The graphic downgrade, you don't notice it as much in handheld mode, but when I did hook it up to the TV where I'm used to seeing Fireteam, I was like, oh boy, right? Like this is a huge difference. This is a huge downgrade, but still totally playable. And like once I had that controller in my hand, it felt like I was playing Fireteam like proper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still the same great game,
Yes.
Even with the slight changes, to make the port.
But I would still recommend, because of the cloud basis of it, right? I would still recommend, if you've got the option, if portability is not a huge concern for you, maybe go with one of the other console versions or the PC version if you can run that over the Switch version. Like this shouldn't be your default version of the game, unless it's your only option, in my opinion. But
yeah, I'd agree with that. How was your internet connection? Like, did you feel like it ran smoothly for you?
Most of the time it did. Now, I was nervous about this, and the reason I played the demo is because I've had some struggles with my internet connection lately. Overall, like, it was... So I can actually directly compare this to when Fireteam was on Xbox Game Pass, and I was playing it on their cloud gaming service. The Xbox cloud gaming service seems to favor maybe graphics over gameplay in a lot of ways. There would be times, I think, when the graphic fidelity would go down, you'd get a little bit of like a lower resolution picture. You'd have like this weird scan line kind of cut through everything and make it choppy for a second. But the gameplay, in my experience, seemed to slow down with that also. I definitely had, playing on the Switch, I definitely had some of that resolution kind of get a little worse at times. But it did keep the gameplay... Like, it did keep the game running pretty smooth, with the exception of like one time where it froze when I was opening a hidden cache, and it froze for about 15 seconds. But then I got back in the game. I hadn't died somehow, and it ran smoothly again after that. So it was serviceable. It was fine. There were some times where like there was some lag and like my movement would be off, but I survived. I didn't go down in either mission. And I mean, we're playing base gunner and demolisher, like with no upgrades or anything, and I survived those missions. So it played all right. in my opinion. How about you? What was your experience like?
It was pretty solid for the most part. I did experience some like frame rate drops, and it felt a little jittery at some cases, just a little jittery.
Right.
But no, I mean it held up. I don't really have any complaints on that side. So
okay.
And like you said, I'm fine with a little bit of graphical. I can suspend my disbelief and kind of blur my eyes a little bit, as long as it is continuing to play straight. Like if there's been a couple of times when I know my internet connection on my side has been slow.
Right.
Trying to play fire teams in particular, where the aliens are coming so quickly, and between bullet shots and finding your aim, there is no like time for like the internet to be juddering up and down.
No.
It's like I can't.
Yeah.
This is not a game where I can get by with lower internet speeds.
Yeah, when I had that moment where it froze, I was just like, oh, I guess I'm done. But then it ended up coming back and everything was okay. And I was thought like, oh, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna be half dead, because there were definitely some Xenos around. It was in the second mission when you're trying to find the handle for the valve, right?
Oh yeah.
And the hidden cache was in one of those rooms, but a whole bunch of Xenomorphs had also followed me in. So I was like, well, this is it. I'm toast. So I don't know if they got something on, like they got some kind of thing on the other end just to keep that stuff from happening when your connection goes out. But I was shocked that I came back from that and wasn't just completely dead. Like I kind of wonder if it didn't just freeze the game for me, it froze the game for the people I was playing with also. Just like literally freeze the entire game until everyone reconnects. But I don't know if that's even a thing that's possible, because I'm a dummy. I'm not like a programmer. I don't know anything about how any of this stuff works.
No, same here.
Yeah.
I pick up the controller. That's about it.
Yeah, that's all I can really be bothered to do is pick up the controller as well. Yeah, I would say if you have, I have a regular Switch. I don't have like an OLED Switch.
No, same. I have the same.
From what I understand, the OLED Switch docks come with an Ethernet port. So I'd say I'd recommend if you're going to play this docked, if you've got an OLED Switch, do a wired connection. I guess you can get adapters for the base version also to do a wired connection if that's an option. But yeah, I don't know. I'm satisfied with my purchase of this. The craziest thing for me was starting from zero, right?
Gosh, yeah, right. We've been playing so long, we've built up so much to have nothing.
We should tell people, you and I, we've played through the entire campaign plus the pathogen expansion together, right?
Yeah.
And then we've also cleared the main campaign on, so we've cleared it on standard and the main campaign on intense as well. I think I know that I've cleared the whole campaign on intense, and several of those missions were with you.
I was going to say, I don't think we might not have completed it at the same time, but I know that you and I have both been through intense.
Right. And then I've started dipping a toe into extreme. We'll see how that goes. And then we've played all of the horde map modes and the turret restock, and we've exhausted those quite a bit. So we've put our reps in and earned our ranks. And so then to like go from your 710 combat score down to like the starting 155, wild.
To see my combat ranking below 200 was it caught in my chest for a moment.
It's a little weird, right? And then the guns, you don't have any of your mods and attachments, so like I think that might be part of what made the aiming weird also, is like the zoom was wrong, right?
Yeah.
And the ammo counts are wrong, and everything, and the accuracy percentage is down. I think that's a part of our experience as well. But
it is so hard to go back once you have all the upgrades.
Yeah.
Once you're an elite, it's real hard to go back to the basic gear and equipment.
It is, but I'm kind of looking forward to it, because like, I mean, to have those early missions feel like a challenge again, right? That's going to be, because I love that third, the rescue mission with Honecker in the hangar.
Priority 1 is peak aliens. It's a perfect way to throw you into this story.
Yeah, and I love those maps, especially the third. the third one where you're holed up in the hangar there. I'm looking forward to like feeling the tension in that again, starting with a new character. I guess I could have started with a new character anywhere, but like really starting from zero with none of your attachments, none of your weapons, all of that. I'm kind of digging that, but yeah, I'm also a little bit like, boy, this is going to be a little bit of a grind.
I really want us to start a hardcore mode at some point.
Okay, I'm down. Yeah, I will absolutely be down. I think it's a good sign that they've released this Switch port. I think it means they're planning on continuing to support the game for a while.
They just released this new map.
Yeah.
And the Switch port.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that they'll be providing this game support for at least the foreseeable future.
Yeah, maybe another year or so. Who knows where we're at after that, but I feel like this game also took a little bit of time for its audience to grow, and I think they had to work some bugs out for a while there. Because I mean, I remember early complaints that people were like complaining about stuff that just, I mean, they've eliminated a lot of that from the game. You even get less stuck bugs now, right?
Yeah, over the weeks I've noticed them less and less.
Yeah, I will absolutely be down for a hardcore run, but I got to build up my Switch Marine first. So, that's one thing I thought was really interesting about having the Switch version is that now I could like take this over to, somebody's place. Maybe my friend Carissa, who has this on PlayStation 4, and she hasn't gone very far in the campaign, right? Now I could probably go like sit in person with my Switch and run through the campaign. Like this kind of gets you closer to like the couch co-op that I wish this game had, right? Because now I have a version of the game I can easily bring over to somebody else's place.
That's a really unorthodox but interesting example of Nintendo's philosophy on couch co-op.
Yeah.
Of like, these games are meant to be played sitting next to each other, and that's an experience we're missing in games these days.
It is.
So to even be able to do that in such a way, like you say, of just like taking it over and sitting on the couch next to somebody playing on a different console, that's still real cool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to set that up, actually. See how the wireless can handle that. That might be a little, but we'll see. It's an option. But the other thing that we did today, actually right before we turned these mics on, was we took a run through the new Horde Mode map that was also released today.
That's correct. Terminal
Containment.
And I gotta say, it was pretty fantastic.
This was an intense map. It's interesting because the last one, the winter update, introduced that Ruptured Cistern multi-level Horde Mode map. And this is just back to your basic like one level, right? But as opposed to the base Horde Mode map in the game where you're sort of like backs against the wall and stuff's coming at you, this has this weird elevation thing where like the starting point is this like lower platform, like down some stairs, and you can't really hang out there because you'll just get completely ran over when the horde starts coming. So you have to get out essentially into the open where there's absolutely no cover and try to handle business that way.
Yeah, I mean, it is like you said, it is a much smaller. You're doing a lot less, moving around from different level to level and area to area like you were in Cistern. And each one of the pathways that will draw the aliens in are all on different levels.
Right.
But all pointing to the same like small area. And like you said, it does not give you a whole lot of room to take cover or anything. So you're constantly continuing with the problem of, being on the low ground.
Yeah.
But you try to take the high ground and you're swarmed pretty quickly.
Right.
So,
you're just out there in the open. A part of me did wonder if there is a strategy where you could just like hole up in that lower area, like the hot gates in 300, right? And just try to get the horde to funnel through there. But then the first time a Praetorian shows up or a Crusher, like that's over with. Right.
Those kind of strategies will work until they don't.
Sure. Yeah.
You might it'll hold up very well until your line gets broken and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah. Because part of the problem down there is like you don't have clear line of sight either out, like, and everything's coming in down. Like everyone's like all the aliens are Obi-Wan in that situation. Right. They all have the high ground because that area is even lower than the rest of the arena. So might be fun to try one time though, just see how that goes.
Yeah.
So we played 20 waves in the map on standard mode. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
And we did have a third for the first few rounds, but we lost them maybe six waves in, and we were stuck with a beta.
He left pretty quickly. It was just the two of us that did most of that time.
We held our own. We actually, I bet we probably could have made it another 10. Honestly, it was getting a little dicey at the end there.
The last 10, I honestly have my doubts we would have finished the 10. We might have gotten close, but I don't know. You never count us out.
And we played, you were Lancer and I was Technician, because I do love Technician in Horde mode. You set up that particle cannon and just, you can't relax, right? But it frees you up to deal with all the stuff that gets in close. So, yeah.
This map in particular doesn't give you a lot of time to, breathe or relax at all.
No, it really doesn't.
Yeah, I was playing as Lancer. I've always preferred the Lancer class. I like the shoulder-mounted laser. It's really nice, plus the heavy weapons. Although I will, you know what? I've been trying, one of the things I've tried to accomplish is to have all my classes equal. So when it says favorite class, it lists all of them.
Meanwhile, I am definitely favoring Technician, Demolisher, and Recon.
All right, that's a good trio.
Like I haven't even my Doc and Phalanx.
Yeah, the shield.
Yeah, those are like level 2 or 3. Like I haven't even leveled them up all the way. I just go Technician, Recon, and Demolisher. I don't even think I've leveled Lancer up all the way either. So, but you've pretty much gotten all the classes up, haven't you? Like all of.
Oh yeah, they're all level 8 now.
Yeah, and I haven't even. I've barely touched some of them. What did you play when you played the Switch version? Did you just go with default Gunner, or did you grab Lancer?
I went default Gunner, just straight out the gate. Tried to just do the most basic experience. The second time, partly to try and combat the drift,
but
also going to try and check maybe on the aiming situation. I decided to switch over to Demolisher so I could check out the smart gun.
The smart gun, I actually did the exact same thing.
I was thinking I needed that little extra boost to aiming.
Yeah.
So, maybe there is something to it that, with the attachments that we've gotten used to by this point.
I think so. One other, that I definitely did the same thing. I switched to Demolisher, and you know me, when I play, I don't use the shotguns, right? My close quarters weapon's pretty much always a submachine gun.
You're missing out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. I ran shotgun as Gunner and Demolisher playing on the Switch. That solves some of the aiming issues just because of the wide, like the spread of the shot.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
So part of me is thinking like, well, maybe if I'm playing handheld mode, I should have a shotgun because aiming is going to be harder. Even just visually, it's going to be harder to see targets. Shotgun kind of compensates for some of that,
My Lancer has been running with the tactical shotgun since I acquired it.
Yeah.
And I can't recommend it high enough.
I love those, the SMG. Even that, I think there's some of those that have a pretty wide spread. So I think that might be something that I'll have to pay attention to if I'm playing in handheld mode. I don't see how I could make like any of the single shot rifles work in handheld mode. There's just no way, right?
That would be really difficult.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like we did it.
Yeah, man. We accomplished it.
We talked about the Switch version. I'm going to spend some more time with it. How do you feel about running a campaign, like just trying to do a Switch only campaign? We got to exchange friend codes still, but maybe we can,
let's do it.
Yeah, we can run through that, see what else they add to the game. Kenny and I haven't properly talked about Fireteam at all. I mean, I mentioned it in pretty much every episode, but we haven't done like a proper Fireteam episode yet. So maybe when we get there, you should come back and just talk about the full experience, the story, and everything of the game in a little bit more detail. And maybe by then we will have mastered the permadeath mode. What's that called? Extreme? Hardcore. Maybe we'll have mastered hardcore mode by then.
Here's hoping. Yeah. I love the narrative element of the permadeath.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know that I can fully commit to that because I'll probably end up making a new character and just make him look exactly like the character that died. You know,
it's funny because when I first started playing, I didn't want to play hardcore mode because it was the higher difficulty than I was ready for.
Right.
But I did actually challenge myself to recreate the character every time I died.
Okay.
And I didn't complete the mission, so I would just go and like change appearance.
Oh, that's fun. I like that, and become a new Marine without this, but like keep your attachments. Like you still got your gear, right?
Yeah, I don't have to change any of that. I can just, this is a new Marine.
Nice.
They just happen to have similar gear.
I like it. I made the Marine on the Switch version look exactly like my Xbox version, so clearly I've got issues there. I don't know what they are.
Did you get the full version or just the basic game?
I got the Into the Hive version, so I got the pathogen expansion also, but I didn't go the full 9 yards. So like I haven't gotten any of the cosmetic kits either. I am going to buy the Nostromo pack because I love that jacket.
That jumpsuit too is so great.
The jumpsuit's great. The jacket is great. The Nostromo Survivor, the Nostromo pack, whatever that's called, that's the one to get. That's the best looking stuff, right? I'm also interested in whichever kit comes with the ape suit, or is the ape suit kind of unlocked just through regular progression? I don't even remember anymore.
Which one is this?
That's the it's the suit that the guys at the end of Alien 3 show up in.
I'm gonna have to take a look at this. I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I'm gonna send you an image of it right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The apes actually just talked about the ape suits. They make a return in Alien Thaw. We see some guys in some ape suits show up in that one. So this is just I don't know. I just like this look. I described it earlier as feeling analog.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely would look at home on an ice world.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna have to get this in the game too because now I'm like all about the ape suits again.
Fair enough. I did not spring for the Into the Hive mode. Okay. I just got the basic game for the Switch.
The basic game, yeah. General thoughts, how do you feel about the pathogen expansion?
It's not my favorite.
Yeah.
It's the difficulty is turned way up.
Yeah, they
which makes it casually hard to engage with.
Yes, I would agree with that. I still get a lot of people when I do random mode wanting to play Regicide a lot. Just any of the final missions of the base game. I'm never falling into pathogen games, and maybe it's just less people bought the expansion. I'm not sure, but it does seem.
Yeah, I mean, expansions do usually, it's hit or miss whether people will pay for them. So
right, yeah, I kind of feel like I did it once, and I did it once, and I got through it all on intense, and I don't really need to. I'm not going to push extreme on that one because the difficulty's really ramped up. But I did get it for some reason. I just bought that version for the Switch as well.
I thought about it, but at the end of the day, I was like, if I'm gonna play that, I have it already.
Right.
That one I have. I'm good.
Yeah. We just gotta clear the base campaign, then you can unlock hard mode, unlock Horde mode, and restock turrets, and that point defense mode that is really weird. Might be my least favorite part of the game.
Wait, which one was that?
The point defense mode where you have to
the checkpoints. There's A, B, and C.
Yeah, and you have to guard them. They're measuring seismic activity or something like that, or stopping seismic activity.
Yeah, and you can never be in every spot that you need to be. Yeah. That one can be a bit of a headache.
I would be interested if they added some like a new point defense map, if they added a new restock turrets map. I think that could be pretty fun. We got 3 base Horde mode maps now, so I'd like to see the other sort of gameplay modes get some expansion.
It might be cool to see one of those maps like on the planet's surface.
That would be
because it seems like all the maps that we have so far are contained in corridors and
all the Horde hallways. They are all sort of Katanga maps, aren't they? We should get like a Palace Station map or something, like something on the surface of the planet for sure.
There's bugs everywhere.
There sure are. All right, I think we should wrap this up because I'm giving myself until PST to get this out on Alien Day, but still, I gotta get this chopped and screwed and uploaded. So
you got it.
Yeah, B, thank you for coming on, talking a little bit of Fireteam. Thanks for playing the game with me. Honestly, it's good to have a friend to play this game with, and I always look forward to it, and we need to do it more often.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I really appreciate it. It's always great to have. I love co-op games,
yes.
So give us more co-op games.
We also got to get back into. You got to take me around the Evil Dead game a little more, because like my gaming life has been consumed with Doom Eternal recently.
That's fair.
But they did just announce the Evil Dead the Game of the Year edition. So I think we got some more stuff coming for that as well. So
yeah, I noticed some new outfits.
Yeah,
and appearances starting to pop up in game and a new weapon. I was like, oh, I've never seen this before. Hello. So yeah, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, we gotta get back in there. But first, I gotta get this guy out the door this episode. So yeah, that's kind of it. Kenny and I got interrupted by this weird distress signal we were recording earlier, so we didn't get to do our classic sign off. So would you do a Stay Frosty with me?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Crew Expendable will be back, I think, with Alien 3, the theatrical cut, on the next episode. So until then, stay frosty,
Marines.